Welcome to That's Good Sports. I am Brandon. The A-list NFL Network guests just keep coming on this show for some reason. Perna. Now, we had Dave Dameshek on the podcast yesterday. He talked with us for over 40 minutes and then even came back on the pod once my Zoom kicked us all off because I'm too cheap to use the paid version. I'm going to play a segment from our conversation with Dave at the end of today's episode. But if you want the full talk, make sure you give our podcast channel, Blue Wire Pods, a sub. And tell Dave on Twitter, at Dameshek, how much you loved seeing him on That's Good Sports and how much it will help his career by associating with Will and me. Make sure you tell him. Also, today we're going to talk about Andy Dalton's release, Alex Smith's miraculous leg recovery, and when I say miraculous, I mean modern medical science, Space Jam 2, and other NFL news tidbits. Tidbits. A great word, by the way. It sounds filthy, but it's totally G-rated. Tidbits. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. I do NFL news videos here every week. I do have Patreon shoutouts. Patreons, you're getting a special announcement Saturday morning on Patreon. Also, a cool Zoom meeting thing we're gonna do with you guys. But today's big dick shoutouts are for Dan, hi from Armenia. Hi, Dan. British Broncos fan, 1873. $20 from Adam Actual. Howie felt her snatch. Haven't heard that one for a while. Felt her snatch. How'd he do it? Hopefully with fucking permission, Howie. Dylan Thornton. Bark Minasuvari of the Dark Paw clan will slay you all. Only player award my dick got was the clap. Doo-doo shit pooster. Austin Harshman. $20 from the National Simulation Football Association. Man, I need a life. Justin Crotchet. Or is that Justin Crochet? Frank Lee, Vikings legend Brett Favre, Vegas Matt, and a $50 donation from Blue Ridge Mountain Plumbing. The best damn plumbing company here in Colorado, Blue Ridge Mountain Plumbing. Blue Ridge, if I have plumbing issues, will you fix it and still give me money? Patreon.com/thatsgoodsports. That's how you support this channel. Well, sometimes the world works in mysterious ways. Sunday, I had a tweet go viral when I posted some of the absurd draft grades from the 2017 draft. The final two grades in my tweet were A grades for Taco Charlton and Charles Harris, selected 28 and 22. The Dolphins drafted Harris, and then they signed Taco Charlton last season when they were tanking after the Cowboys released Taco. Now, I don't think I have mentioned either player since the 2017 draft, and after that tweet, the Dolphins released Charlton and then traded Harris to the Falcons for a 7th rounder. That is why they call me Pernadamus, or Nostrapernus. I predict the future. Now, Von Miller no longer has the Rona. His test results came back negative. Great news for Von Miller. The Seahawks and Titans have both made multiple offers to Jadeveon Clowney. Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson both had their 5th-year options exercised by the Texans and the Chiefs, which needed to be done before the May 4th deadline. That gives both teams more time to work out their massive contract extensions. The Titans, Corey Davis, and the 49ers, Solomon Thomas, had their 5th-year options not picked up. The Corey Davis move has to sting, as Tennessee picked up Adoree Jackson's 5th-year option. So both guys, both drafted by Tennessee in 2017, but only one gets the 5th-year option picked up. It's the equivalent of finding out your parents love your brother more because he has a respectable job and married rich. Now, the Davis move makes sense, though, with the success of A.J. Brown, and Davis hasn't really lived up to expectations. If he has a big year, though, in 2020, he can make bank next free agency period for a team of his choosing. Only 6 guys have had their options declined so far from that 2017 draft, with all being final by May 4th. Those were the tidbits. Now, Alex Smith, like Trent Green before him, was an underappreciated Chiefs quarterback. Alex Smith, like Joe Theismann before him, in near identical situations, had his leg horrifically injured on the field. Unlike Theismann, though, he gave photos to ESPN of his gruesome injury and recovery to publish. Maybe you have seen them already on Twitter or on ESPN. I'm not going to post them here because I don't trust YouTube to leave the video up if I do. They are that horrific. Make sure you read the ESPN article, though, about Alex Smith. It will give you an appreciation for Smith and everything he had to endure just to save his leg, and more importantly, his life, because his leg got infected after his first surgery or surgeries. ESPN's gonna air a documentary about it tonight, so if you hate reading, just watch that. I thought it was time, though, to give Alex Smith a little love, because I always liked Smith and the way he played the game. He was drafted number 1 overall by the 49ers. In the same draft, Aaron Rodgers fell to the Packers, and all we have been bitching about is how poorly the Packers drafted last week, and how we feel sorry for Aaron Rodgers. We should be thinking about guys like Alex Smith, the real heroes. Smith's recovery is amazing. It is a real obstacle to overcome, unlike not getting a wide receiver in the first 2 rounds of the draft to throw tutties to. And Alex Smith, more importantly, Alex Smith never forced me to watch the Chiefs in the Super Bowl like that son of a bitch Patrick Mahomes. So I'm glad to see you are doing well, Alex. I always respected you for that. LeBron James posted a picture of himself wearing a Space Jam New Legacy hat, which is the first visual confirmation we have of the Space Jam 2 logo. Space Jam 2 has been in the works since 2014, back when Giannis Antetokounmpo was scoring a measly 12.7 points per game, and when Phil Jackson signed a 4-year, $60 million contract to become an executive of the New York Knicks and start Linsanity. Space Jam 2, the treasure of most of our childhoods, unless you are me, as I only watched Larry King until I was 17, should come out in June of 2021. Anthony Davis, Chris Paul, Damian Lillard are all expected to be in the film along with James and Don Cheadle. But unless Larry King is in the mix, I will not be watching this film. Now, the Bengals released quarterback Andy Dalton this week, which means Cam Newton, Joe Flacco, and Andy Dalton can all be had. But only Andy Dalton was slinging darts in his backyard and forcing his kids to be ball boys, which I think helps his chance of signing with the team. Now, Dalton has been linked to 2 teams. Jay Gruden, now with the Jacksonville Jaguars, is interested as Gruden was Dalton's offensive coordinator from 2011 to 2013. The Jags have stated, though, that Gardner Minshew is their starter, so even if Dalton lands in Duval, it doesn't mean he will start. But if Leonard Fournette is there, Dalton should know he has one guy in his corner. Fournette told Bleacher Report this week, "When Jalen Ramsey got his ass whooped, I cherish that moment every day. AJ Green put Jalen in a Kurt Angle lock, was choking the fuck out of his ass." That is a real quote, and it looks like Fournette has been rooting for the Bengals for years. So that's a great way to get Dalton acclimated to Jacksonville and not feel homesick if that's where he goes. Also, Leonard Fournette, now my favorite player. The other team, though, is the Patriots. And many of us want to see Bill Belichick and the Patriots make a play for Andy Dalton. Dalton is the perfect average quarterback for Bill Belichick to elevate to elite level, just like he did with Tom Brady. Dalton, in 133 games, had 31,594 passing yards, 204 touchdowns, 118 interceptions, a record of 70, 61, and 2 ties. Very impressive in 5 playoff appearances. For what it's worth, if I had to bet on Brian Hoyer, Jared Stidham, or Andy Dalton to win me a playoff game on a well-coached team like the Patriots, I'm taking Andy Dalton. And that is exactly what we talked about with Dave Dameshek on the podcast. And I will play that clip now.
If you're Andy Dalton, if Andy Dalton goes to the Patriots and he goes 12-4 or 13-3 this year, is that good? Are you happy if you're a Patriots fan about that? Because it kind of, the guy who you've hung your hat on for the last 20 years, the hero of all heroes in Boston sports, with all due respect to Bill Russell or Larry Bird or Bobby Orr or anybody else, is Tom Brady. And now it's like, it feels a little bit like that was circumstantial. And as I say, Nick Foles and Eli Manning and Joe Flacco did some damage to the legacy of Brady, but the most damaging thing to happen to him was 11-5 by Matt Castle. It's kind of
Right.
like Jimmy G won games and Jacoby Brissett won games. Like, is it definitely Brady or can Belichick maybe do this with anybody? Did he just figure out some weird cheat code to football? And I'm not suggesting he cheats.
His cheat code is cheat.
But yeah,
Smart.
The ultimate cheat code, some would say.
Yeah, somebody who fancies seeing the rare tow truck getting towed by a tow truck. I love that. The cheat code being cheating is an interesting bit of. But anyhow, if Belichick does that, then it's like, hey, I root for the Patriots. I don't care about what Brady does anymore. It's like, so all right, fans. So is it really satisfying if that's the way? If the Patriots are 13-3 at season's end this year, is it really like, yay, we coach good? Is that really as exciting as like being an Elway guy or something like that?
Right. Well, I think like my mission within my YouTube channel started out, promoting the Broncos, but it also evolved into tarnishing Tom Brady's legacy every chance I get. So I am rooting for Andy Dalton to the Patriots, Cam Newton to the Patriots, somebody to go in there and for Bill Belichick to succeed with. And it's strange because to me, Tom Brady's never done anything like wrong publicly. And the longer he hangs around, it seems like the nicer type of guy he is. He hasn't had like that big controversy. And so as a good person, I should be rooting for that. But I find myself drawn to the evil side with Belichick, and I'm pushing that narrative now. And I think I'm learning more about myself as Tom Brady departs New England. But yeah, I'm definitely rooting for the success of coaching and Belichick because that
Tom
fits
Brady.
My narrative.
I like the idea of Tom Brady as society's mirror. He really makes us think about who we are as people.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be Cam Newton because if Cam Newton goes there, it's like the Reclamation Project and, he was still good and the Panthers screwed up. That's not as satisfying to freaking Patriots fans as being able to say like Jared Stidham won 13 games.
Right. No, that's a really good point.
Andy won 13 games. Like what? That will throw our perception of reality out the window, So I think that's the thing to root for.
Especially because you could pair it, Andy Dalton could go in there and feasibly win 12, 13 games. And Tom Brady could be a disaster in Tampa Bay. You merge those two things together, it's chaos for Tom Brady's legacy. He may never recover.
That's the real thing. Like it's kind of hard to conceive of Brady's savvy enough to know, like, hey, I'm not going to go to some bum situation. Right. I mean, he knew that, like, he looked at the Chargers because the collection of pass catchers that were there. That makes a lot of sense with that high-end defense. Same thing, the underrated Buccaneers defense plus the weapons that he has. And I suspect that he also probably knew, like, if this works out, Gronk, maybe we can figure out how to get you down here too. I don't think the situation is mediocre enough for the season to be mediocre for the Bucs, but maybe you're right, man.
Just one more idea for Belichick. If he gets to the playoffs and the Texans are in the playoffs and he just one game uses Brian Hoyer to beat the Texans in the playoff and then gets to the Super Bowl with Stidham or Hoyer, that's really the cherry for his overall legacy.
Let's not sleep on that. Stidham, we've all decided that it's like, well, it's Stidham or whoever else they can grab out on the free market. Belichick, I think it was just a week ago or maybe 2 weeks ago when he, in his dynamic way, said like, Brian's a guy who's a nice steady option for us, nice accurate pass. I mean, what if it's Brian Hoyer who does it? What if it's Brian Hoyer who does it? And I really think that if Belichick knows deep down, listen, Brian Hoyer is only capable, best case, of 9 wins, or Stidham is that, then you go get Cam Newton.
Right.
But if he really thinks that he can do it, that's the ultimate stick in the eye of Brady, isn't it? Is to be like, look, I did it with Brian Hoyer, man. Like if I got I got the double digits with Brian Hoyer with the same receivers that you bellyached about all last year. Like, so that would be the ultimate. If Belichick is, if unless he knows, like deep down, I can't do. Those guys just ain't good enough. But if he has some sense, that's the smartest play he can make, because he has the out, by the way, of being like, well, I only had Brian Hoyer and Jared Stidham. What was I supposed to do? If he goes 8-8, it's like, all right, what was I didn't have a quarterback. Our QB
Win-win.
ditched us. But if he gets to double digits, he's, then beyond a shadow of a doubt, it makes clear that the last 20 years were owed to Belichick way more than it was to number 12.
That's all we can hope for, really.
Thanks for watching another episode of That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on the YouTubes. Again, we do NFL news videos. Like, that's all it is. News, shitty jokes about football. If you don't like that, still subscribe. I still need your support, even if you hate me.